I'm going to start this video off with a comment. People are so busy discussing and fighting over whether or not the ancient Egyptians were black that they forget we're still here. We still exist. The Arabs who claim to be Egyptians have not exterminated all of us yet. White supremacy is a motherfucker sometimes. You know, as much as I would like to move into the 21st century and just say everybody's the same and everybody's equal and race doesn't matter and race is a social construct, as much as I would like to move there, it just pisses me off that the history that revolves around black people is constantly trying to be rewritten. Constantly. It amazes me at how pretty much in the Western Hemisphere, you know, one drop rule. You know, you go to the Latinos, they got their issues, but they got these like multiple subcategories. You know, Dominicans running around saying dumb shit like they're burnt Indian, or people running around talking about their wheat. Now, I might let you get away with that if you have multiple things in your background, which if you're, you know, Hispanic, Latino, chances are that's what you are. You have multiple things. You're not black, you're not white, you're not Native, you're not Taino Indian or whatever. You know, you got multiple things. But it amazes me, you know, when I discuss white supremacy and, you know, just America mainly, specifically since I'm African American, and how one drop rule, you're black. No matter what, you're black, you're black, you're black, you're black. And then when you go into history, right, and then you start discovering that a lot of the, you know, first civilizations or the civilizations with the knowledge that spawned other civilizations are black and not white, then all of a sudden you have to redefine and reorganize what's black and what's not black or what's white. You have to redefine it. You know, East Africans, oh, they're not Negroid, they're Capoid, they're all this other shit. You know, I mean, there's all of the type. You can sit there and go on Wikipedia and look up race, and you got the racist, you know, anthropologist, and then you got the ones that are like, it doesn't exist, but since we're using it as the definition, let's just go with it. You know, but it amazes me at how, you know, the lines are drawn to make sure that Negroid black Africans have absolutely nothing to do with Egypt. Nothing to do. You know, there's this, oh, well, these black, they're black, but there's something else. But then there's the other denial on top of that. Then it's like nobody wants to acknowledge that they're black. You know, it's that, you know, example. Constantly. You go on Stormfront.com. White supremacist up there. Oh, look at this mummy here. It has straight curly hair and it has a pointy nose and therefore it's Caucasian. And they go from mummy to mummy to mummy talking about the straightness of the hair. And I'm like, you dumbasses. Do you not know that your idea as a American white racist and what you think of West Africans and the history in this country between whites and West Africans, the ancient Egyptians that were no doubt black, that it's Africa is a fucking continent, that people have all different type of phenotypic features, but yet nonetheless they're still black. But yet white supremacists always try to take blackness or black people and only go off of some type of West African Negroid prototypical look, and then try to apply that directly to what they're seeing with the mummies in Egypt and be like, well, these look like nothing like a West African, like as though all of Africa looks like the way people look like in Sierra Leone or Nigeria. Black people are the most diverse group of people on the face of the fucking planet. But that shit never is able to seep into white people's heads. And then when they march around and they want to talk about white supremacy and they want to talk about, we were the first and we created this, we created that, Aryan nation, this Aryan nation that, even though it was the dark white people, the Greeks and the Romans who were stomping all over the Aryans, in whatever BC when the Roman Empire or the Greek Empire was doing its thing. I'm like, there's nothing superior about the Aryan race, however they want to fucking define it. Then you got the Iranians jumping up and they're like, wait, we're the real Aryan race. And the only reason the Iranians even jump up when to talk about we're the real Aryan race is because they're trying to identify with some type of Hitleristic superiority that Hitler fucking came up with his own imagination. But yet the Persians, instead of just being proud of the fact that they're Persians, they're trying to, undermine or usurp the Nazi Nationalist Party or some shit like that by trying to claim that they are actually the original Aryans from, 10,000 years ago. Or some stupid shit. I don't even know what they're trying to claim. But it amazes me how shit gets redefined and flipped and people think that they know what the fuck they're talking about when they're talking about race, especially when it comes to black people. I put all these little pictures up. I went on the internet and found all these little pictures. I got some Nubians in there. I got some Darfur nomads in there. I got some Ethiopians in there. And you know what's crazy? Is people talking about you got Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. It's actually, I think it's in reverse. Upper Egypt is because you go up the Nile. Upper Egypt is the lower part of Egypt, and Lower Egypt is the upper part of Egypt. Like if you look at it geographically from a map, north and south. And I guess you always look at it that way because you look at the way that the Nile flows, which is north on the globe because it drains into the Mediterranean Sea. The origin of the Nile River is Lake Victoria, which is in Rwanda, Uganda, right around that area, right? Which is, that right there to me is it's very easy for the black Africans to get into Egypt. All they gotta do is hop on a boat, go right down the Nile, voila, you right there, bro. But what's even funnier is, people will say, well, why did you pull, all these are four people, Ethiopians and people that are in Upper Egypt and Aswan and stuff like, why'd you pull, Nubians, why'd you pull them up? They're not even in Egypt. Precisely. They're not even in Egypt. And they have the so-called, the Caucasian features that people think only exist in Lower Egypt. Or think that Lower Egypt, it was just, this Caucasian state. And you can go further up the Nile, and what do you find? Black people with, quote-unquote, good hair. Black people with, quote-unquote, the slender noses. The Sphinx is sitting there with a prognathism like a motherfucker, which is a black trait. It's questionable to me at how all the noses are busted off all the damn statues in Egypt. It's questionable to me. Because I know that there were black, negroid-looking Africans in Egypt. In ancient Egypt, the further back you go, the blacker it gets. But these stupid, foolish, uneducated, unintelligent white people, white supremacists, I should say, specifically, and white Arabs, or I shouldn't even say white Arabs, the Arabs who think they are white, or want to consider themselves white Arabs, or think that they are the original Egyptians. No, y'all motherfuckers came later. Y'all motherfuckers came in and brought Islam with your ass. But you are not the original Egyptians. Shit, you didn't even take pride in the ancient Egyptian artifacts until the white man came there and started going through your shit. Then all of a sudden you were like, oh, all this stuff, that's why half of the Egyptian artifacts aren't even in motherfucking Egypt. They're in Germany, they're in Canada, they're in the UK.